welcome back to another action figure review. In today's episode, we're going to be diving into the brand new Character Online exclusive, which is the 15th Doctor and Ruby Sunday, the Vortex edition figures. Finally, the heavens have opened up and we have finally been blessed with these absolutely stunning editions of the Doctor and his wonderful new companion. Originally seen at the beginning of the year at London's Toy Fair, where we got to see our first sneak peek of these two, and to finally close off the year, we have been given these guys in a brand new collector's wave, which by the sounds of things, we're going to be seeing a lot more of in the future. So as I usually start with, looking at the packaging, I mean, my god, what a work of art. Here we have new covers that hold the two action figures in place, which is this lovely pearlescent white, as we've seen on the previous Regeneration set, with the current logo on the back and the front, the elongated version on either side. And what I find interesting about the cover is that it isn't this sort of traditional square that we usually see with some collector's items. Instead, we have these nice interesting curves, which is obviously copying the shape of the actual boxes. And then removing the cover reveals both boxes housing the figures, which is just amazing. Both the boxes are the same interesting shape with the same vibrant white and DoctorWho logo. As well as that, you also have this gorgeous pink Vortex, which is supposed to be the colour that represents the 15th Doctor's era. The TARDIS on the side is the same version as seen on the B&M sets, as well as having some diamond bubbles with text stating the scale and the numbering of the Doctor this set is based on, and then another bubble stating that this is the Vortex edition. As well as that, you have the name of the character running along the bottom. On the back of the box, you also have a brief bio about the characters themselves, as well as publicity images of the said characters and content info, which I don't think we've had in ages, I don't really pay much attention to the B&M boxes, but I could be totally wrong. Removing the figures from their cardboard imprisonment, I mean, honestly, I am lost for words with these. I think both of these figures are incredibly striking. Both are completely brand new from head to toe, not using any previous parts whatsoever. So beginning with the man himself, the Doctor looks fabulous here as he does on screen. Character options have really outdone themselves with this Doctor. The detailing throughout this figure from head to toe is just brilliant. We've not actually had anything like this before, especially when it comes to having any brand new type of articulation. As a lot of you may know, these figures are completely brand new. There is no reuse of parts whatsoever. As for the likeness, it has left me in awe, as I feel like this has captured the likeness of Ncuti Gatwa really well. Just like the Fugitive Doctor and the Movellans, the skin tone has now been captured in the plastic instead of just being painted on, which I actually think works a lot better. I know there's some people in certain camps that think otherwise, but to me, it looks stunning. The detail seems to be much crisper when using this process in the past, so I kind of hope they use this process for later releases later down the line. The details like the eyes, the eyebrows, and the hair and the moustache have all been painted on with care and seem to be nice and crisp. Looking at his costume, this is actually based on his look from the Church of Ruby Road, which seems to be one of his main outfits that have been used on most of the merchandising. I will say I'm kind of glad that they have gone for this look, as it is definitely more striking than any of his other outfits in my opinion, and it's definitely one of my favourites. The coat itself has just been cast in this lovely brown texture with leather texturing printed onto the plastic itself. The level of detail here is outstanding, and it really looks like leather just shrunk down to size. You've also got such things like the belt on the back of his coat, with the little buckle being depicted in silver. Again, really nice attention to detail, and you have certain other things like the seam lines running up the jacket and around the front. All the buttons have been depicted in a darker brown. They all seem to be very nice and crisp as well, and run all the way down the coat, as well as having two buttons on his epaulets. I mean, the whole garment just looks phenomenal. The shirt underneath has also been replicated really well, with all the different stripes being reproduced, and is also quite textured. It represents the on-screen garment quite well when comparing it to the exact same top that I do own. The zip itself has also been depicted in silver, as well as the two necklaces that lay upon his beefy chest. Taking a quick look at the hands, these two have also been depicted really well. They're also brand new, as you can tell with the number of rings he's got on his fingers. Again, really close attention to detail, and I love that they've added that in. The trousers have also been depicted in a similar petrol blue to the 13th Doctor's, although I believe these could be slightly brighter. Who knows? Anywho, these have been depicted well to the on-screen garment, such as the tiny buckles on the waist, but sadly there is no silver detailing here, which I guess would be a waist, considering that these are hidden underneath the coat. And then finally taking a look at the trainers. These have also been painted well with all those little paint apps to represent the actual shoes used in the show, such as the red, the blacks, as well as having the tanned colour on the sole. I mean, they could have left that part out, but they didn't, so I'm kind of glad that that's in there as well. And then moving on to the accessories, the Doctor has been gifted with quite a few here. You have his fateful yet unique looking sonic screwdriver, which has been depicted quite well to the on-screen prop, with all the different etchings and the correct colour plates, just like on the actual prop. I must say, even though I think the prop is slightly overbearing, it has been depicted well on such a small scale, which I will say bravo to character on that. And for once, we finally have Doctor's psychic paper. Huzzah, I might hear you cry, as this has been an accessory that fans have been wanting to pair with their new series Doctors for as long as I can remember, for the last 19 years, I suppose. The accessory is just been cast in black plastic, with the paper section just being painted in white, and it can just sit firmly in the Doctor's hand with a bit of ease, which looks super cool and can actually be displayed with any of the Doctors you deem fit. And finally, he also comes with an obscure prop as seen in episode 3, which is in actual fact the landmine that the Doctor steps on during that episode. I think this one is a bit of a strange accessory to have, as he did wear a completely different outfit when this prop appeared. But still, this little piece is just filled with details, such as the green lights going along the sides of the mine, with a sticker on top depicting all the details of the bomb itself. Again, very nice and crisp and very detailed, I must say. And like I said, it's still a nice accessory nonetheless, and I'm amazed with how many we've got with just one figure. So on a whole, this figure is super great. I mean, character have done such a good job to represent the 15th Doctor and Ncuti Gatwa on a whole. Everything has been done with extreme care and has gotten every little detail correct. The costume is superb, the likeness I would say is very striking, and the new body on a whole just gives these new figures a lease of life, and I really hope with Doctors that come after Gatwa get the same treatment. So the character Ruby Sunday has also been given the plastic dolly treatment, and what they have delivered here is definitely a good enough representation for the actress Millie Gibson. Once again, she too has also got this new Gen 3 body, which means more articulation, more posability for your action figures. The look that they went for is once again from the Christmas special, same as the Doctor, and they really have gone far out with the whole look. Starting with the head, the likeness is uncanny to Millie Gibson in my opinion. I've seen some fans say that likeness isn't as good as Ncuti's, and I get where they're coming from to a degree. However, I can personally see the resemblance here. It definitely looks a lot better than those images we saw from Toy Fair. I mean, the photo itself was slightly blurred, but I feel like it still didn't do that much justice towards her character. Whereas here, I think she looks excellent. The paint apps on the face are extremely crisp, and they've added such detailing as the shaved part of her eyebrow. Her hair is also very in-depth, with the bright yellow colour as a base, with the lighter washes and the darker washes on the top, just to give the hair a bit of texture. Mine, however, did have a slight scratch on the side of her head, which I have tried to fix before filming this review, but still I won't deduct points from this, as it is an easy fix. Moving down to her costume, this has also been replicated rather well. The jacket has been cast in black with such detailing, with the buckles going on her wrist of the coat and the belt just hanging loosely at the front. Again, very nice detailing there. The fur itself is also detailed, with the main bulk of the paint being in this sort of white with a dirty wash over the top, just to give the fur some sort of definition, which again really works well. As well as that, you have a thin strip of copper on both sides to represent the zip. You also have the necklaces depicted in silver, as well as the red top that she wore throughout the story, which has apparently been sculpted all the way around, so we could be seeing a jacketless Ruby from this story at some point or another. Interestingly, the top half where the necklace ends is actually a separate piece, which I guess they've done that way so the jumper can be swapped and changed for other versions from later stories perhaps, so wait and see to see what happens later on. The hands have also been cast in the same plastic as the head, with painted details such as her rings and fingernails. Weirdly, on her right hand though, she has this really long pointed finger, which does look very comedic. The skirt is also very detailed, what with all those paint apps to represent the tartan pattern. That's on the on-screen counterpart, which is absolutely gorgeous. I don't think I've ever seen anything as detailed before when it comes to tartan, so, bravo to character. The legs themselves have just been cast in a dark plastic to represent the tights. And then finally looking at the boots, these have been sculpted really well. You've got the details such as just the laces, the studs. I think they just do the part really well, and they represent the on-screen garments quite well here. As for accessories, Ruby does come with her bag that was used throughout the episode, which has been cast in this sort of rust red with golden detailings to represent the buckles, as well as some darker patches painted on as well. This can be simply put over her shoulder, or you can just put it over her head so it can be secured better without it falling off. As well as that, she also comes with her mobile phone, which is a very interesting little accessory. Body itself has been painted in red, with some details such as the phone camera and the screen painted in a gloss black. This can be simply slotted into either hand and can make her look like she's taking a selfie with a doctor, if you wish. I mean, hell, I'm actually thinking about displaying them like that because it just looks really cool. And again, really, really nice action figure of Ruby here. I was actually quite surprised that we got them in a pack. I mean, we knew we were getting these figures sooner rather than later, but this is probably the quickest time we've actually got a companion figure in such a long time. I mean, if I recall, I think after the 13th Doctor figure came out, it took about nearly a year or two just to even see a Yaz, Brian, or a Graham, so that is absolutely mental. So, I mean, this is a lovely turnout that we got them as a pair. So, beginning with the articulation, with this new Gen 3 type of body, you probably all know this by now, like the ins and outs, etc., but I'll explain it here as well. So from what has been said online, these two figures have been given a whole new type of body, not seen on anything that has come out before. For starters, these dollies are now pinless, meaning that there is no nasty pins that you see on older figures that are on the arms or the legs. These have completely been covered up with the clothes themselves. I mean, this type of technique has been used on other figure ranges. I believe the Marvel Universe, I think DC figures do that now, as well as the Star Wars Black Series, to name a few. So beginning with the head, it's on a ball joint, which gives it a brand new range of articulation, such as doing a 360 degree turn, moving up and down, and even giving his head a head tilt so it can turn from side to side. The arms can also do a 360 degree turn, as well as moving out to the sides as they are on a half ball joint. The elbows themselves have double joints, meaning that they could bend forward as well as rotate to a 360 degree twist. You do sadly, however, miss out on any bicep articulation, but this is actually a good replacement. I personally prefer it, meaning that you don't see the ugly seam line at the bicep itself. The hands also turn 360 degrees. You also have waist articulation. This time you have a ball joint, meaning there's more posability. The joint is actually hidden. It's actually hidden just below the section where the buckles lie. And again, you couldn't see it unless you point it out to someone. This hasn't actually been done before on any of the human characters, at least, and makes for a nice addition. Moving down to the legs, you can move them forward, but they can't be moved out to the sides anymore. Reasoning for this is because the legs are attached to ball joints. You also have thigh articulation, which is the norm with most of these figures. Knee articulation, which too can swivel, with the joints being hidden by the upper part of the knee. And then finally looking at the feet, they too have restricted movement but are on ball joints. I wouldn't recommend trying to twist them at 360 degrees just because of the way that the legs are sculpted. It sort of rubs against it, so I wouldn't recommend trying to force it. As for Ruby Sunday, it's pretty much the same. The head is on a ball joint, but the head is kind of hindered with the hair rubbing against the collar, so I wouldn't recommend doing that as you may risk running damage to the jacket itself. The arms can do a full 360 twist, the elbows can bend at a 90 degree angle, as well as doing a full 360 twist, as well as the hands. She also has the same waist articulation as Ncuti does, as well as the same on the legs. They can also move forward, but only slightly due to the skirt. Her knees are also some kind of ball joints where it can move slightly from side to side. This time you can see the joint, but that would be difficult to hide since they are tight. And finally, some articulation at the boots, which can also turn a full 360 degrees. So, what do I actually think of these brand new action figures? Well, they are definitely a massive improvement on what has come out in the past. Finally, the articulation has been upgraded to what other collector ranges out there, like Black Series or DC and Marvel ranges, I believe that have been using this sort of technique going on for quite some time now. I do like the old type of articulation that we have seen in the past, and I don't think it will be going anywhere anytime soon, as I can imagine they'll still use this style for previous releases, such as Doctors, Companions, etc. And in my head, I think anything that comes out now will more likely be for future releases from this current era. Hell, I mean, I could be wrong. I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Posing these figures with enemies like the Daleks really make me want to see these two tackle the Daleks on screen yet again, and hopefully in a new guise. Here we also have the Doctor and Ruby with the TARDIS, which I'm hoping we will see a re-release of in the near future, or even better, that unreleased prototype that was leaked many moons ago. I would really love to see that happen. If you're interested in picking up these two brilliant figures for yourself, then I highly recommend going to Character Options website, where you can still grab these for yourself. Apparently they are selling quite well, and if you're wanting to get more brilliant action figures like this, then the best way for it is to support the line and just buy the figures. That is all I can say, really. If you want to see more action figures with this type of detailing and articulation, then yeah, buy them. Just support the range however you can. But if you're unable to pick these up, then I highly recommend picking up the retail versions that are coming out very, very soon. I believe they're actually out now from what I've read, which also look really good, so I'm very excited to grab a hold of those for myself. Like I said, I cannot praise these enough, and I really hope we do get more figures from this era in the future. I think the Man-Traps would be really good, as well as Maestro, hell, even the Chudlers, but only time will tell. Anyhow, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and hopefully I shall be back in the near future. Oh, by the way, subscribe.